So Saturday, we had Saturday night's main event, and this was the first Raw really on the road to Survivor Series. So I was very curious to see what kind of War Games build we would get tonight, that and the John Cena stuff. So imagine my surprise when I'm watching the beginning of the show tonight, in the opening segment, and I see Logan Paul is back. Remember him? We haven't seen him in a while. So Logan Paul was there, and it was an opening segment that ended with him coming out to confront CM Punk, but ended with him taking a tsunami splash. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking they can't possibly be thinking of turning this man babyface again. He was a babyface initially, if you remember, when he came into the company. But he's just a natural born heel. And even though he wrestles most of his matches like a babyface, a lot of the offense and the moves he does. But I'm like, this is a terrible idea. They can't possibly be thinking about doing it, which leaves only one other possibility. And sure enough, we saw that play out in the main event because CM Punk and Jey Uso were tag team partners tonight. They were opponents on Saturday. They were partners tonight in the main event against The Vision. What else is new? Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in another main event. That gave us no winner, but it did give us Logan Paul coming back out seemingly to assist CM Punk. But of course, if you watch wrestling for more than 5 minutes, you know exactly how this ended. And it ended with Logan Paul knocking CM Punk the fuck out with a pair of brass knucks. It ended with Logan Paul handing the knucks over to Paul Heyman and smiling and throwing his arms open as if he was about to share a big embrace with the Vision, except it never came and they just were waiting around until they went off the air. But obviously the Vision now has another man on their side for War Games. Nothing was said about War Games tonight. They're still making us wait to see really what any of the matches are going to be for Survivor Series. Nothing, I mean, certain things have been hinted at. Nothing was made concrete at all as far as the PLE is concerned. But you could see where Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul are going to be on one side of the coin in War Games, and then CM Punk will likely be leading his own team on the babyface side. And Logan Paul joining the Vision. Look, I did not read any of this as Logan Paul joining the Vision, right? Logan Paul is going to join the Vision for Survivor Series, and then Logan Paul is going to go away again. I don't want to see anybody joining the Vision, like actually joining this group, unless they are full-time. They do not need any part-time performers as part of this group. So if that's not what I see this as, he'll join with them for a few weeks. That'll take us to San Diego. And then however things work out there, they will go their separate ways. I really don't think it's anything more than that. Rey Mysterio was also back on the show tonight. Logan was not the only one. Rey's been out most of the year. He got hurt right before, as in like the night before WrestleMania. We have not seen him in action since. He was out on the show tonight to confront his son, his spawn, Dominic Mysterio. And it looks as if we're going to get a Dom and Rey match soon. I don't know if it would be for the Intercontinental title or I think more likely the AAA Mega title. I think that would be a big match for them to be able to do in AAA. So they had a confrontation that honestly was probably my favorite thing on the entire show. That segment was a lot of fun. That was the best thing, in my opinion, on the entire show. But then there's John Cena, who was not on the show. But they did make an announcement on Saturday that there is going to be a tournament held. And that tournament is going to be kicking off a week from tonight in Boston to determine who will be John Cena's final opponent on Saturday night's main event on December 13th. And what they did was they busted out the tumblers. Remember the tumblers from the Royal Rumble many years ago? Yes, they are using tumblers to decide what these matches are going to be. They have their pool of 16 people. We don't know who they are because they did not give us a bracket. That's the part about this I don't like. I would like to see a full bracket of where the matches are, who's in what section of the bracket. Instead, they're doing this in piecemeal. And so we have 2 matches that have been announced now. The tournament will officially kick off next Monday. And the 2 matches that we are going to get are Rusev, who of course has history with John Cena. They wrestled at WrestleMania 31, taking on Damian Priest, who has no history with John Cena. And the other match is going to be Sheamus, who won his very first WWE Championship from John Cena. He is going to be taking on Shinsuke Nakamura, who I think, if I remember, almost killed John Cena in a match on SmackDown many years ago. But John Cena was also the man that Nakamura eliminated, I believe, to win the Royal Rumble back in 2018. So there is a little bit of history there between them. Those are going to be the first two matches. Those will take place on the show next week. And then on Friday, Nick Aldis is going to announce, I guess from the Tumblr, Nick Aldis is going to announce what the next two opening round matches are going to be, which I presume would be taking place on SmackDown the following week. Hopefully we will get an actual bracket that we can look at in the not too distant future. If you're going to do a tournament, right, you got to show us a bracket. We need to know where everybody is going to be. But these initial matches, it looks like this is the way they're going to roll this stuff out. I got some more thoughts on the John Cena stuff. I posted about it earlier today just to kind of add to what I talked about on the Sound Off this weekend and what I would like to see in John Cena's final match. So we'll get into that. To me, this was a very blasé episode of Raw. I didn't think it was anything great. It's better than SmackDown's been, but that's a very low bar. This is your Raw on Netflix review. It is Monday night, November 3rd, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Thank you for kicking off our first Raw here in what is going to be a very busy month of November here on the channel. We are also, all month long here in November, celebrating, as you might see, 18 years of the Solomonster sounds. Can you believe it? 18 years? All November long. So I want to say thank you for all of your support. And those of you that have stuck with me, many of you from the very beginning, which is awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you. But like and subscribe. Super chats are open. You'll see them popping up on your screen. I'll be reading any messages that come in a little later on here in the stream. And I also just want to throw this up because this is coming out in a couple of weeks. So I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of it. Bret Hart had a book that came out many years ago. Great book. That book is available in audio form, narrated by the Hitman himself. And it's coming out on November 18th. You can get that book for free using the Audible link on your screen right now. All you have to do is go to that link, sign up for the 30-day trial of the Audible service, and you can get at least one free book, maybe two, if you're an Amazon Prime member. But this book is well worth it. If you've never read it, you can now have it read to you by the Hitman himself. So that is coming out on November 18th, but you can pre-order this shit right now. audibletrial.com/Solomonster. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. The book came out many years ago, so some people may not be aware that the audiobook is coming, but it is. So make sure you jump on that. Let's get into this show here. They opened with a new World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk, after a recap of what went down in the main event on Saturday night's main event. So he came out here. He was in the back. They followed him from the back all the way out to the ring, and he was in a very good mood. Of course he is. He's back on top of the world. Why wouldn't he be in a good mood? He was in a good mood. The first person he wanted to thank, though, was his wife, who we have not seen, by the way, since WrestlePalooza. She came back for WrestlePalooza. They showed footage of her on all their social channels signing what they said was a multi-year full-time WWE contract, and we never saw her again. So he wanted to make sure he thanked her first. The second person he wanted to thank was all of us, the fans. He goes, usually they call them the WWE Universe, but he just calls them CM Punk fans. Not everybody is a CM Punk fan. But he wanted to thank all the CM Punk fans. Without the fans, he doesn't get here. He doesn't get to call himself world champion. And he wants to thank Jey Uso. And it sounded like he got some light boos. Might have been mostly just people yeeting. But there was some light boos in there. He would like to think that going forward they could still be friends, but he understands if not. He's not going to cry about it. He said 2 years ago, when he came back, remember the catchphrase that he threw out there? I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. Right? He pointed that out again. And he's also here to become champion, and he says now that's exactly what he is. He said he doesn't have a snake in the grass in Seth Rollins waiting in the wings to cash in Money in the Bank this time. And then he swung the belt over his head like Seth did after he cashed in Money in the Bank all those many years ago, and the way he did it this year when he cashed in Money in the Bank. 18 years means I'm eligible for the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. Hey, we got to let Dave know. Hey, Tim, you're very welcome for the Audible. Make sure you take advantage of that. Man, we got to let Dave know. I'm eligible to be on the ballot next year. I don't know what category I would fall under, though. Would I get the Bryan Danielson Wrestler of the Year award? Do they have a podcasting category? I don't think they do. They may have to add one. Can name it after me. Say he swung the belt over his head. He's mocking Seth and said if Seth wants to come after him when he comes back, he'll put him right back on the couch, which is where he is right now. He says if he's not what he says he is, the best in the world, on any given day, he could lose this championship. He knows there's a line forming with names like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. He knows the Vision is coming after him. He wants to be a fighting champion. I'm like, oh God, please, no open challenges. I thought they were about to do an open challenge with the fucking world title. Look, I love the open challenge we have on Fridays. We don't need any more than that. Like, I wasn't sure where this was going. But he starts name dropping specific people. He mentions AJ Styles. He wants to test himself against the best the company has to offer. So he mentions AJ Styles. He's someone who has earned the right to step up and get a title shot. Dirty Dominic Mysterio, someone who has 2 belts right now and doesn't deserve either one of them. He would love to punch him in the face. JD McDonagh, who he called an exceptional professional wrestler. Finn Bálor is another one that he's looking forward to wrestling. Sheamus says, you want to have a banger? I'm your Huckleberry. And finally, his contemporary and someone who only has a few short dates left, John Cena. He knows he's busy and he doesn't have very long left. He's not fucking dying. He doesn't have very long. He might not make it, guys. He doesn't have very long left, but he's not here for a long time either. He's here for a good time. And if John Cena wants to be an 18-time world champion, come get some. Anybody who's earned it, anybody who deserves it, get in line, he says, because the champ is here. And this is where Logan Paul's music hits. I forgot he was even still there. So out he comes, and Punk said, anybody but you. I'm sure there were multiple people watching this saying the same thing. Anybody but you. He said, blue is Logan's color. He would look really good over on SmackDown. Ilya Dragunov has got this U.S. title open challenge thing going on. That's more in your lane. Stay in your lane, he's telling Logan Paul. Logan said that Punk said anyone, and he called himself a Ferrari, while Punk was a Honda Civic with upwards of 270,000 miles on it. He pointed out that he beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania. So CM Punk, if anyone in this industry has earned a title shot, it's me. You know, it's interesting. Logan has actually had multiple world championship matches. He's lost every single one of them. He wrestled Roman Reigns, and he lost. He wrestled Cody Rhodes, and he lost. And if he wrestles CM Punk, he is going to lose. Paul Heyman interrupted. Came out with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. He told Logan they were in the aisleway. And he told Logan, the front of the line, my ass. The front of the line belongs to the man who pinned Roman Reigns, Bronson Reed. The front of the line belongs to the future of WrestleMania, Braun Breaker. He told Logan that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Get the steppin'. And Logan didn't leave. He said, I was here first. So Braun Breaker spoke. He said, Heyman bought everybody 2 weeks to live after they dropped Seth Rollins in the dirt. But the dog isn't waiting anymore. He's coming for what belongs to him. And he suggested both of them get out of his ring or he will whip both of them like a dog. So Punk told Logan, you either fight with me or you get the hell out of my ring. So Logan left the ring. And he went to go leave, and the Bronze stood in his way. But he made his choice, right? he left the ring. He didn't want any part of this, so he made his choice. And Breaker gave him a shove. So he shoves Logan down. Actually, Logan hit the back of his head on the LED board. And at that point, you know, the Bronze hit the ring and they attack CM Punk. Logan got up. He looked like he was going to leave, but then he looked back and he sees this 2-on-1 assault going on in the ring, and he's having second thoughts and he's acting like, I don't know, maybe I should go in there and go after these guys. I don't know. So ultimately, what does he do? He gets into the ring and he attacks the Bronze. They end up overwhelming him also. Bronson Reed goes up top. He delivers a tsunami splash to Logan Paul. Punk got back in the ring with a chair. He cleared the ring of the Bronze. By the way, we were almost half an hour now into the show by this point. Nearly 30 minutes had passed. So I'm watching this going, man, their idea cannot be to turn Logan Paul face. This is a terrible, terrible idea. Surely this is going to be a swerve. They did not bring Logan Paul back to Raw to squash him in the opening segment and not have him come back out at the end for some kind of swerve, right? That's the first thought going through my head watching this. Just because to turn him babyface right now is such a terrible idea that I couldn't believe that that was the path that they had chosen to go down. As we would see later on, it was not the path that they chose to go down. I did like that Punk, though, you know, talked about being a fighting champion. He name-dropped a bunch of people, including AJ Styles. I would like to see Punk defend that title. He doesn't have to defend the title every week, but let him have some title defenses on TV. And let him defend against some of these people who might not ordinarily get a title match on a PLE. We don't even know how long Punk is going to have the championship for. I don't know that he's going to hold it until WrestleMania. He may drop it at the Royal Rumble. He could very well drop it before WrestleMania and then end up winning the Elimination Chamber, because I think if he was not the champion, he's a lot more likely to win the Chamber to get a title match than he would the Rumble, because the Chamber is in Chicago. So you know, whether it's a title defense or he's not the champion and he's in the Chamber, right? Chicago, you would think, is going to be a big night for CM Punk next year. Maybe he loses the World Heavyweight title before then, wins the Chamber, and challenges Cody for the other title. We don't know. But I would like to see him defend the title here and there on TV against some of these people. I would like to get a CM Punk AJ Styles match, which is a match that I thought they could have done on Saturday night's main event this past weekend. They opted to go with Jey Uso instead. Hopefully there's still time. We can get that Punk and AJ match. AJ has said next year is it for him. We don't even know what that means. We don't know if that means he's wrestling the entire year like Cena. AJ could be done at WrestleMania for all we know. We had Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella taking on Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Roxanne caught Nikki with a springboard moonsault. Nikki fought off Raquel moments later, hit a tornado DDT before making a hot tag to Stephanie. I will point out also they were in New Mexico tonight. And even though I was pretty nonplussed by most of the show, they were hot for most of what was on the show tonight. So good crowd in New Mexico. I don't know how many people were there, but good crowd in New Mexico. So she made a hot tag to Stephanie, who ran wild on Raquel. Could not hit the SVB because Raquel is just too damn big, so she wasn't able to do it. So she hit a flying crossbody instead. Vaquer gave Perez the devil's kiss. Nikki tagged in. She hit Roxanne with her rack attack 2.0 finish. Covered her. Raquel, though, barely broke up the cover. She was actually late, but not egregiously so. Not egregiously late, but late enough to make probably the people in the ring a little uncomfortable. So Vaquer sent Rodriguez over the top, tried for a devil's kiss on the apron. Raquel blocked it and slammed her face first on the apron. Nikki tried a cradle. Perez, though, shoved her into the ropes, and Raquel delivered a cheap shot with the referee's back turned. And Perez followed with pop rocks to Nikki for the win. So that makes 2 straight wins now for Roxanne Perez over Nikki Bella. No drama, at least not yet. There was a little backstage segment later in the show. No drama, though, between Stephanie and Nikki. No miscommunications, no issues, no nothing. And they spared the champion from taking the loss here to clear the way for Raquel and or Roxanne to challenge Stephanie for the championship. And now we know that next week on the show, it will be Raquel challenging Stephanie for the women's championship. So they gave the heels a win. It sets up a title match for next week. There was nothing wrong with the match. It wasn't anything terribly special, but there was nothing wrong with it. It served its purpose. Now, they showed Adam Pearce in the back, and he was picking balls. He was picking his balls out of the tumbler. They brought back the tumbler. I can't remember the last time I saw the tumbler on TV. To decide on the first two matches that will be taking place next week in the John Cena tournament to decide his final opponent. So then they cut to CM Punk. He was walking backstage and he ran into Jey Uso. Jey knows that he's been all over the place lately. He feels like he should help Punk out. He saw what happened earlier in the opening segment. Punk wants to know, who am I talking to right now? Am I talking to main event Jey Uso? Am I talking to, little Roman? Who am I talking to? And Jey said, no, you're talking to main event Jey Uso. He points out that everyone is coming after Punk now, and he offered to help him body the vision problem that he has. They exchange yeets, and that sets up our main event for later in the show. Punk and Jey against the Vision. We have Penta one-on-one with El Grande Americano, who is entering to his new theme music. If you haven't heard the music yet, it is on Spotify. If you want to go listen to it. He had Rayo and Bravo in his corner. Penta went for a destroyer on the apron. Grande blocked it. He backdropped him on the apron. Then he tied Penta's mask to the bottom rope during one of the commercial breaks. This happens in almost every single Penta mask or Penta match where somebody will try to tie his mask to the bottom rope or to the middle rope. And it's happened so many times that you would think that he has to do a better job. You would think by now he would know better than to either do a better job of tying that tail, behind his mask, or tape it, or cut that shit off, or do something. Because it's every single match where he gets that mask tied to the rope. He's got to do something about that. So Penta made his comeback as soon as they came back from the break. Grande cut him off, though, with a Finley roll. Penta came back with a tornado DDT and a big flip dive out of the ring. Americano actually climbed back into the ring, and Penta was still on the floor, and Penta was the one who hit the move. But Penta got up, and as he was trying to get back in the ring, Bravo tried to stop him. Bravo tried to interfere. And Bravo got caught by the referee. So the referee ejected Bravo, and he's pitching a fit, and the referee is dealing with... Bravo, by the way, is Tyler Bate. In case you're wondering which is which, Bravo is Tyler Bate, Rayo is Pete Dunne. So as the referee is arguing with Bravo, Rayo, ridiculous, handed Americano the metal plate to slide under his mask. Penta avoided the loaded headbutt that followed, and he went to the top. Rayo tried to interfere, so the referee tossed him as well. Penta decided to dive out onto Rayo before he could leave ringside. Americano went for a running headbutt as soon as Penta got back in the ring, but Penta hit a super kick. He super kicked him right in the head as he came diving in, and he followed that with a Mexican destroyer for the win. Penta was super over here with this crowd in New Mexico. I was a little worried that they were going to let him lose this match because he just lost on Saturday night's main event, right? He didn't take the losing pin, but he was in that triple threat. He did not win. He should not be losing two in a row. For him to have a second loss within 48 hours would have been terrible. So thankfully it was the right call here and he won the match. But, him getting sucked back into this Americano vortex, I really hope this is a very temporary thing. He was just in the Intercontinental title picture. It was pretty clear coming out of Saturday night's main event, he's not winning that championship anytime soon. So instead of just dragging this out where he constantly wrestles Dom and doesn't win, it's time to move him on to something else. This is not what I had in mind. So whatever this is here, hopefully this is just temporary. So he's still super over, but again, he just needs a real story. He needs a real solid direction. If he's not going to be challenging for any championships, he just needs to have a good story. Or if you can't find one for him, this would probably be a good time to get the Lucha Bros reunited. right? And let them still do singles. There's no law saying they can't do singles, but I don't know. I mean, Penta's over on his own. He doesn't need Phoenix. Phoenix, let's just make this very clear. At the moment, Penta does not need Phoenix, right? He could use him because he's a little directionless right now. Of the two, Phoenix needs Penta more than Penta needs Phoenix. But I do think that, it would be good to soon get them paired up so that they could at least, go after the tag titles on one of the brands, and then Penta could still do his thing, and Phoenix could have the occasional singles match, and you kind of get the best of both worlds. But there was somebody, again, who had a mailbag question about a week or two ago, and they raised this issue, and I hadn't really thought about it, and I can't rule it out. Is the reason why we have not yet seen any interaction between the Lucha Bros, and we have not seen them tag up, does that have anything to do with, Phoenix got an early release from his contract from AEW? Because he could have been held a lot longer than he was. And they were wondering, is it possible that part of him getting an early release, like he was in fucking jail, is that the Lucha Bros cannot be paired up for a certain amount of time? I tend to think that's not the case, but I thought, you know what? If that was one of the provisions of his release, it's possible. Maybe. What have we seen with Rey Fenix? He's had multiple tag team partners on SmackDown. Everybody but his brother, who was the best tag team partner he's ever had. Right? They put him with Andrade. Now he's with Nakamura. It's like, hello, you got a guy right here. You don't have to keep coming up with all these makeshift tag teams. It's an interesting theory. We got a video promo with the Kabuki Warriors, and Asuka said that everybody needs to recognize that she is the true legend of the women's division. Last week was a small taste. They will keep tearing the tag team division apart until they get their title shot. What division? What division is she speaking of? The women's tag team, the non-existent women's tag team division? Last week, they let Bayley walk away. Kairi Sane says that she should be thankful, but Asuka's kindness will not last forever. Tonight, they will do whatever it takes to prove that they are the most dominant tag team in WWE. After this was my favorite segment of the show. It was the Mega Continental, I guess we'll call him the Mega Intercontinental Champion, Dominic Mysterio, making his way out to the ring by himself, no other members of the Judgment Day. He was coming out to address his public. He says, bow down to the king of the luchadores. On Saturday night, he proved that he was the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the greatest AAA Mega Campeon of all time, the greatest luchador of all time, and there is no man on this planet that can stop him. I think his father might disagree. We hear Rey Mysterio's music. We have not seen Rey Mysterio on WWE television, at least as like an active performer, since he got hurt, which was the night before WrestleMania. Tore his groin, I think his adductor muscle. He got all fucked up. So out comes Rey, and he's been sporting this, I don't know, a beard, like a goatee. I think he's basically got a goatee or a mustache now. So he comes out, and they say that he's been medically cleared. Crowd serenaded him with holy shit chants. This is a very easy to please crowd here. I mean, come on. He said Dom can call himself the greatest all day long if he wants to. He doesn't care, but he draws the line when he says he's the king of the luchadors. Because every time he says that, he insults his family and he insults their blood. What about El Santo? What about Blue Demon? What about Eddie Guerrero, who got the biggest pop of the bunch? And then everybody chanted, Eddie, you think you're better than them? And then Dom had the greatest comeback of all time. You keep my father's name out of your mouth. Fucking perfect. Perfect. He's very good at this. And the crowd reacted accordingly. The crowd understood. He goes, yeah, El Santo, I'm better than him. Blue Demon, I'm better than him. Eddie Guerrero, I'm better than him too. But there's one that you didn't mention, and that's you. So Rey says, I'm not going to let you disrespect Lucha Libre. He starts taking his jacket off. Dom said that Rey is jealous. He said Rey's already stealing his mustache. Rey's just here to cash in because he made the Mysterio name relevant. Not only that, he has already surpassed everything that Rey has ever done. So what is he going to have to do? Is he going to have to kick his ass again? So listen to the king of the luchadores and get out of this ring. And Rey said, okay, I'm going to leave. But before I go, understand three things. As long as I'm around, Dom will never be king of the luchadores. As long as I'm around, this will never be your ring. And as long as I'm around, you will never be the greatest Mysterio. And Dom made like he was about to leave. Of course, he ends up throwing a right hand. Rey blocked it. He threw one of his own. Rey got a head scissors. He got Dom in the ropes. He hit the 619. He was going up top to hit the frog splash. Well, not a frog splash, but to hit the top rope splash that he does. Dom, though, was able to escape the ring unscathed after the 619. So this was a fun segment. Little father and son banter, or I don't know, stepfather and son maybe. But this was fun. It certainly looks like we are setting up for a Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio match. Now, he's got two titles. It could be for the Intercontinental title. It feels to me, and I felt this way for a while, like when Rey comes back, because when Dom won the AAA title a few months ago from Vikingo, Rey was there, and he had Rey come into the ring, and he forced his father to strap the belt around his waist. And really from that moment on, it felt to me like, okay, maybe they're planting the seeds for when Rey comes back, he's going to challenge Dom for the championship and maybe even win the championship. So that's where I think ultimately this is headed. They may want to do a match on WWE television first, but I think that's where this is headed. Now, it poses another question also, which is it setting up for something more? Is it potentially setting up for something a little further down the line where Dom retires his father? You know, Rey's 50 years old. I don't know how much longer he wants to do this for. He's had a lot of injuries over the years. He just came back from one. But it just feels right if Rey is going to retire soon, we don't know that he is, that he would want his son to be the one to do it. And you can get a big match out of that, right? Rey against Dom. Rey puts his career on the line. Dom puts his fucking hair on the line, his mullet, you know, whatever. That's a big match that they could do, you know, on a big show. And the only reason I'm thinking about that is because Rey was going in hard on the whole, like, as long as I'm around, as long as I'm here, right? Well, maybe he won't be for much longer. I mean, it doesn't feel like that's something they're going to now. But I do wonder if that could be, I don't know, maybe a WrestleMania match. I don't know. But then again, you know, Rey, he may want to go another 2-3 years. He may say, hey, look, I feel great. I just came back. I rehabbed. I'm back. I could keep doing this for another few years. I do think when the time comes, though, and Rey is going to hang it up, I think Dom's going to be the one to do it. I do. Can you imagine if Rey decides that next year is his final year? Right? Cena's done next month. Tanahashi is done the beginning of January. AJ has already said he's done next year. I don't think WWE wants to lose Rey. I think WWE would do everything in their power to convince Rey not to retire right now. They're running out of guys from that era that they could trot out there in these big matches. Right? They don't have Undertaker anymore. Actually, Jericho will probably be back soon, so they'll probably get Jericho back. But these guys, you know, they're going away. Slowly but surely, these guys are going away one by one. And even if Rey's not going away just yet, you know, I don't think he's got that much longer. It's coming. But look, if Dom is going to work with Rey, possibly at Survivor Series, that feels like as good a place as any to do this match with them. Let's say if they're going to do it for the IC, because they're in San Diego, right? That's their hometown. That's their home base. Rey and Dom in San Diego. That would then mean that there is no Dom John Cena match, which was rumored for Survivor Series. So that's interesting. There was no hint at all whatsoever. When Dom came out at the beginning of this segment, I had no idea where this was headed. I had no idea that Ray was coming out. My first thought when I saw Dom come out to the ring by himself, and he's talking about, I'm the greatest, right? I'm the greatest of all time. I thought this was going to segue into him talking about him being sick of people calling John Cena the greatest of all time. And this was how they were going to kick off, you know, the build to a Dom Cena match. Cena never came up at all. So if that was ever the plan, it certainly felt coming out of this like that plan has changed. If that was the plan at all. Backstage, Lyra Valkyria warned Bayley, or wanted Bayley, to tell her what's going on. Because Bayley had the aftermath of that tag match last week on her mind. Lyra isn't sure if she can trust Bayley. Bayley swears to her, you can count on me. Then they cut to Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett at ringside. They were talking about Bayley and Lyra until someone came out of the crowd in a hoodie and stood up on top of the announce desk. And that someone was the Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch, who was just frenzied. She was not in her right mind. She says she's been going through a lot the last few weeks. Her hot husband is injured at home. The Vision lost their minds and ruined everything. She's been saddled with a crooked referee that wants to hold her down. And Adam Pearce sent her home to cool down. But she is the definition of cool. And the fans booed, and Becky told them, oh, shut up. You wouldn't know what cool is. And then she hit them with, the only cool thing to come out of New Mexico is a show about how much meth you people do. Hey, I'll have you know, that show about how much meth people do is one of the greatest shows ever made. I'm just saying. You know who's not cool? Maxine Dupree is not cool. But she's lucky because she got to step into the ring with her, and she lived to tell about it. And she won't shut up about it now. Because you people made her believe that she belongs. She does not. She is not in her league. Says, Maxine, you don't survive in this business by being lucky. You survive by being good. But lucky for her, she's not just good. She's the greatest female wrestler of all time. But it's not just her saying it. Sports Illustrated is saying it. The Bleacher Report is saying it. She told Maxine to take all the time she needs because the next time they step in the ring together, one wrong move, and it will be your last. Welcome to the big time. She slammed the mic down and she left. Becky was out of her mind here. Her delivery here was great. She was just beside herself. She's slowly losing her marbles. But this was good. Now, as she was leaving, the Kabuki Warriors were already on their way out for the next match. So Becky had a little confrontation with them in the aisleway. She had a face-to-face with Asuka. And I'm just thinking, okay, there's 3 people right there on the heel team in War Games. You're going to have Asuka, you're going to have Kairi, and you're going to have Becky. And then whoever else they decide to round out this team with. Again, nothing said on this show about War Games, but you just look at some of these things, like Becky did not confront Asuka this way for nothing, right? That was done for a reason, because they're going to end up on the same side. But we did have Asuka and Kairi Sane up next against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Asuka and Kairi, they had the heat on Valkyria until she gave Kairi a gut-wrench powerbomb. Bayley tagged in. She ran wild on Asuka, hit a diving elbow drop to the back of her neck. Kairi cut off Bayley after making a blind tag, but Bayley responded with a Bayley to belly for 2. Bayley gave Kairi a sunset flip powerbomb into the corner turnbuckles, and Valkyria followed with a diving leg drop off the top for a near fall. And Kairi barely kicked out before 3. Valkyria sat Kairi on the top turnbuckle. Asuka distracted Lyra. And then Kairi hung Valkyria up at a tree of woe before double stomping her and then covering her for a near fall. The baby faces came back. They actually used a version. I thought this was cool. They used a version of the old Demolition decapitation finish. Kairi, she was dead to rights here. Asuka was able to make the save. Valkyria tagged in. Asuka, though, pulled her off the apron, which caused her face to hit the apron on the way down. Kairi rolled Valkyria back inside, and then Asuka tagged in. and the Kabukis set up for their finish on Lyra. Bayley, though, broke things up. Asuka then shoved Valkyria into Bayley, who was on the apron, and Bayley took a nice spill down onto the floor. Valkyria tried something off the top rope. I don't remember what it was, but it doesn't matter because she came off, and it was a smooth transition. She got caught by Asuka on the way down in the Asuka lock, and she rolled around for not even 10 seconds. She had no choice. She tapped out. And the Kabuki Warriors get the win. Now, when the match was over, Asuka and Kairi, they cornered Lyra, when all of a sudden Alexa Bliss and Charlotte, the women's tag team champions, made their way down to the ring, chased them off. This was very weird because the Kabukis, they had Lyra in the ring, and we didn't hear any music or anything, but like very abruptly, the camera cuts to the aisle. Charlotte and Alexa are already halfway down the aisle, and then they hit their music. It was very bizarre. But they ran in, and again, they cleared the ring. The heels ran off. The match was good. The right team won because they are setting them up for a tag team championship match next week in Boston. We're getting a women's tag title match. Charlotte and Alexa, it was made official later in the show, are going to defend their titles against Asuka and Kairi. So they had to win this match here. And now things are set up for the tag titles next week. But this was a good match. Now, footage aired of JD McDonagh beating Sheamus with help from Finn Bálor on last week's show. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, they were celebrating as they entered the Judgment Day clubhouse. Bálor was there. McDonagh was there. They had a picture of Liv Morgan up on the wall. Perez announced that Raquel was going to be getting a shot at the Women's World Championship next week against Stephanie Vaquer. Dominic entered the room, and he was complaining about his deadbeat dad. I can't believe it. Did you see what happened out there? And where the hell were you guys? He was looking at Bálor when he asked that question. Bálor and McDonagh. And Bálor said, well, we could have helped had we been invited, but you insisted on going out there all by yourself. So Bálor handed Dom the shillelagh that they stole from Sheamus last week, told him to keep it safe. We're going to go out there and win back our tag team titles. So they leave, and Dom is asking the ladies, what's up with them? And Raquel said, well, you're the reason that Bálor and McDonagh had to defend those titles in the first place, which they lost to AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. And Roxanne sat him down and said, look, I think that you should be in their corner tonight. And Dom's like, why? And she said, well, they probably would not be mad at you anymore if you went out there and supported them and you were in their corner. And Dom said, okay, you make a good point. What could go wrong? And that led into the World Tag Team title match, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, AJ Lee. The only AJ Lee you're going to see on this show, defending their titles against Finn Bálor and JD McDonagh. So the Judgment Day attacked the champions right at the bell. Dragon Lee gave Bálor a sit-out powerbomb. He tagged in Styles, who laid out both men with a slingshot dive. There was a double down spot that led to Dom, because Dom didn't initially come out with them. So during the break, here he comes. And he saunters down to the ring. He's holding the shillelagh. Styles gave McDonagh a Pele kick as they came back from the break. Dragon Lee tagged in. He went on offense until Bálor cut him off with a sling blade and the running drop kick. He was able to avoid the coup de grace. Styles took a swipe at Dom, so Dom hit the apron to distract the referee. McDonagh held down Styles, while Bálor went for a double foot stomp, but AJ moved. And Bálor hit McDonagh by accident with the coup de grace. Styles then caught McDonagh with a phenomenal forearm. Bálor broke up the pin. So Bálor then told Dom, hey, look, he's over by the ropes. Go hit AJ with the Intercontinental title. And Dom's like, okay. So he goes around to the other side of the ring, and he's getting ready to rear back. He's going to blast AJ with the championship, but the referee spots him. At that moment, Sheamus shows up in his street clothes, and he attacks Dom. The referee was distracted again. This time, the ref was arguing with Sheamus. So Bálor blasted Styles with the shillelagh. McDonagh crawled over to cover. He had it won. Dragon Lee, though, was able to make it back into the ring in time, and he broke up the cover. Lee then wiped out Bálor with a dive, and Styles gave McDonagh a Styles Clash to retain the titles. AJ Lee lives on. This was solid for I think this went 7 minutes. It was solid for the time that it got. Again, it was just more of a backdrop for the story of Bálor and Dominic. When is this match going to take place? Is this going to be a WrestleMania match? I feel like these two, look, we know families fight, but these two have been fighting, and Bálor has been giving this kid the side eye for months and months and months and months and months. Is Bálor going to be the one to beat him for the Intercontinental title? I mean, is that the play here? I'm just wondering, when do we get this match? When do things finally blow up between these two? What happens then? And when that time comes, and it may not be for many more months, are they just going to keep the Judgment Day going with some new people? I feel like they rely so much on this group that they're never going to want it to end. It's like the Bloodline. And now we have two versions of the Bloodline, right? We have the OG Bloodline. We have the Wish version of the Bloodline, right? The clowns on SmackDown. The Judgment Day's been around for 3 years now, probably, right? 3 or 4 years. They've rotated members in and out. They get a minimum of 5 or 6 segments on the show every single week. What is the Judgment Day going to look like a year from now? That's what I want to know. Stephanie Vaquer was on her way out of the building when Nikki Bella stopped her. And she apologized for losing their match. And Stephanie's trying to explain to her, it's fine, don't worry about it. And Nikki says, I feel rusty and like I'm making bad decisions out there. I've been trying so hard to keep up with all you ladies. You guys are so great. And so like leaning into some of the criticism she's probably got. Look, I made the comment a week or two ago. I said it feels like she is trying to keep up with these women, that we see today. Because she had a match, might have been last week, that was no good. So it does look like she's trying to keep up with them and just not doing a very good job of it. And so she's kind of alluding to that here in these scripted comments. But she says, she feels rusty and she's wondering why she's even here. She's not the only one. Stephanie says that Nikki is still amazing and needs to believe in herself more. She paved the way for people like Stephanie. They hug, and Nikki thanked her for making her feel better. That's exactly what I needed to hear. She says that I'll be there next week to cheer you on. That doesn't seem like a very good idea. I don't know. That seems like something might be going on there. Are we in for a Nikki Bella heel turn soon? I don't know. Yeah, again, I've been conditioned to think that when someone is being nice to somebody else on the show, that just means that they're looking to fuck them over. Like, if I were on the show, if I was one of these characters on this show, I wouldn't trust anybody. If somebody was being nice to me, those are the people I would think are going to fuck me as soon as I turn around. So if I'm Stephanie, I'm just saying, I would have eyes in the back of my head. This woman is insisting on being in my corner for my match next week. I'm keeping a close eye on her. Now, elsewhere, speaking of fucking people over, here's somebody who knows how to do that. Paul Heyman. He entered Jey Uso's locker room as he was preparing for the main event. Told him that he was always his favorite member of the Bloodline. Heyman said that he couldn't understand why Jey would team with the man who stopped him from becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. Jey said he didn't owe Heyman an explanation, but Punk faced him one-on-one with no tricks. And he respected that. Heyman started to say that that's not how Roman Reigns would do things. And Jey cut him off and said, I don't give a damn about the tribal chief. I don't give a damn about Jimmy. I don't give a damn about my family. I don't care what anybody has to say. Heyman told Jey that he respects that. He told him that he asked Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed to hold off during the Battle Royal, during Jey's match with CM Punk. Heyman said that Jey has a vision all your own, and I like that. See you out there tonight. Heyman planting seeds of doubt in the mind of the viewer for what might go down in the main event. There were people watching the main event who had to have the
is a direction you can fuck.
Who had to have the idea in their head that perhaps Jey Uso might go heel. Hey, dude here, thank you, sir, for the $22 super chat. See, that is what Jey Uso said that Paul Heyman could do. Off is the direction that he could go fuck. He doesn't want any distractions heading into this main event. We go to the back, where Adam Pearce announced the first two matches in the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. And just to recap what I mentioned earlier, next week in Boston, it will be Rusev one-on-one with Damian Priest, which I think could be a very good match. And then on the other side, Sheamus goes one-on-one with Shinsuke Nakamura. Those are going to be our first two matches. And John Cena himself will be there, his last time in Boston as a WWE star. Nick Aldis will draw the next two opening matches on SmackDown this Friday. As far as the matches, like I said, Rusev and Priest, I think that should be a pretty good match. Sheamus and Nakamura, look, I will never bet against Sheamus. You know, with Nakamura, can he still have really good matches? He can. We don't get to see that very often. Sheamus, I will never bet against because Sheamus has been the most consistent performer for them on this show. You can always expect him to go out there and have at least a good match, if not a great match. So I am sure him and Nakamura will have a pretty good match on the show next week. I like that Sheamus is in the tournament. He's not going to win, but it makes sense that he would be in there because not only do you get some good matches out of it, but he has history with Cena. I like the idea of having people in the tournament, and not all 16 men, have to meet this criteria, but I like having guys in the tournament who have history with John Cena, especially ones who have not yet wrestled him during this retirement run. And he's one of those guys. And we may get other guys in the tournament too who don't even currently work for WWE. Right? Matt Cardona has history with John Cena. Nick Nemeth has history with John Cena. So I like that. Mix people like that in with newer faces, like from NXT. You get a good blend, right? You get a good mix of people. I do kind of hate how they're doing this Tumblr shit, and they're announcing these matches in like little blocks or groups instead of just giving us a tournament bracket. It's possible they haven't even put together the actual bracket yet, but I wish they would just give us the bracket and let us know. Here's what it looks like. These are the first round matches. Here's when they're going to be taking place. I don't know why everything has to be a big secret. But what I wanted to get into here, and I tweeted about this earlier today. If you saw, I did a segment on the Sound Off this weekend talking about the big announcement, where it's going and who I think is going to be in the tournament, including people who don't work for WWE. Adam Copeland will not be one of those people. Chris Jericho will not be one of those people. But I mentioned, Gunther has been rumored to be the guy who is going to wrestle John Cena in his final match. And I like that. If it turns out to be Gunther, I support that. I like it. I think it's a good opponent for Cena. It's a match we've never seen before. Does Gunther need it? That's the issue I see that people keep bringing up. Why, right? Why does Gunther need it, right? He doesn't need it. So therefore you can't do it, right? That's not necessarily true. Although I get where people are coming from when they say it. Meltzer was right about there being a tournament. He was the first person I saw report that WWE was going to have a tournament to decide who John Cena's final opponent was going to be. If he is to be believed, he also reported that Cena was going to be challenging Dom at Survivor Series for the Intercontinental title. Now, you watch the segment tonight with Dom and Ray, and that doesn't look like it's very likely right now. It looks more likely we get Ray and Dom in San Diego. But let's just say that report is true. I don't like the idea of John Cena winning a secondary championship like the Intercontinental title just to win the Grand Slam and then turning around and losing it to Gunther and having Gunther win the championship. Because at this point, it's beneath him. I don't care that they peddle this narrative that, well, Gunther has been champion for over 80% of his time on the main roster, so we always have to have a belt on him. Like, who gives a shit? No, you don't. The guy's a multiple-time world heavyweight champion. He's coming off a world heavyweight championship loss at SummerSlam. You don't need to put the Intercontinental title back on him. I would love to see another match with him and Sheamus. Maybe we get it in this tournament. Because those two matches, by the way, that I mentioned for next week, Rusev and Priest, I see Rusev going on, and I see Sheamus going on. I don't know if that means they would wrestle each other in the next round, but those are the two men who I think are winning those matches next week. So the idea that, Gunther is going to be the guy, and Gunther is going to beat him and win the IC title, and maybe then they take it all the way to WrestleMania, and then Gunther and Sheamus wins the belt. That's great, right? That would be great. It'd be a kick-ass match. And I think Sheamus winning that championship, he could do for that title on Raw what Ilya Dragunov is doing right now for the U.S. title on SmackDown. Old Reliable, who is going to go out there every week and give you a quality match. He could work with younger talents and try to elevate them and elevate their game. He could absolutely be that guy on Monday, like what Dragunov is on Friday. Okay, so I don't hate that idea. It irks me, though. It still bothers me. The idea of Gunther wrestling for and winning the IC title, or even worse, Cena beats him, and then they just vacate the IC title. Both of those ideas, I think, are terrible. If, however, let's just say, Cena does end up winning the Intercontinental Championship, and he's going to be defending it in his final match, that's where I think you kick that door wide open for someone like Obafemi. I wasn't sold on him being the guy. There are other ways that you could debut him. If you introduce that championship, though, to me, that changes everything. That changes the entire dynamic here. And there's someone who could really benefit from something like that. Now imagine, because they said NXT talents are going to be in this tournament. Imagine if Obafemi, who was the guy for a good chunk of this year in NXT and having great matches, and he is someone who you look at him and he's basically the total package. He's got the size and the look that they love. He can cut promos. He's had great matches. He's got that presence about him. He could be that guy. If he's in this tournament, imagine he goes on to win the entire tournament. He goes on to wrestle John Cena in his final match, and he beats John Cena. And in doing so, he wins the Intercontinental title. You now get him to the position that I would have debuted him in, which is either in the U.S. Open Challenge or it could be the IC title on Monday. You strap him up with one of those secondary championships, but you let him go on a dominant run. Basically the Gunther blueprint, I think, could work very well for Obafemi. Well, here's a way to get him there. But in doing so, you also give him a tournament win and you make him the man who retired John Cena. And then in so doing, he wins the title. All of that would happen in the span of a few weeks. You really want to strap the rocket to this guy? You really want to give him a big push out of the gate and let people know, holy shit, this guy has arrived. Like, this is a guy right here to keep your eye on, right? Because this guy's going places. There you go. I'd feel a lot better about putting that belt on someone like Oba than I would putting it on Gunther. You talk about Gunther not needing shit. That's one thing he does not need. So all of a sudden, you introduce that championship, I'm a lot more open to the idea of it being someone like Oba and not Gunther. But again, based on what we saw on the show tonight, I'm not sure that they're going with the plan to have Cena challenge for the IC, which honestly is for the better. I hope they don't do it. But if they do, I like Oba being that guy because to me that just makes a lot more sense. But you'll chime in and let me know what you think. We got to talk about this main event. Main event of the show was the world champion CM Punk teaming with Jey Uso to take on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. I will say this. Jey looked better here. He looked a little bit better here than he did on Saturday. That is for sure. Also, it was a tag team match. Big difference. He was in the main event in a singles match on Saturday. Tonight, he was in the main event, but he was in a tag team match. And tag team matches are his specialty. So perhaps that had a little something to do with it. Punk was getting worked over until Breaker gorilla pressed him. Punk slipped out, dropped Breaker with a neck breaker, And then finally, Jay got the tag in, as did Bronson Reed. Jay got a run of offense here before Reed grabbed him for his jagged edge, Death Valley driver. Jay slipped out, though. He had a spear, and Breaker breaks up the subsequent pin cover. Punk kicks Braun out of the ring and then dives out onto him on the floor. Yes, dives. CM Punk did a slingshot dive out of the ring onto Braun Breaker. So Reed, he goes through the ropes, and Jay follows with a tope suicida. At this point, all four men are outside, and they're very awkwardly brawling around. The referee is still counting the entire time. So the referee's count hits 10. All four men are counted out. We have a double count out. The always exciting double count out here in this main event. You can imagine the reaction of the fans here in New Mexico. So the babyfaces were getting the better of the brawl until Breaker speared Jay. Reed knocked down Punk. Breaker sent him over the barricade. Reed held up Jay in the ring so that Breaker could hit another spear. And Reed followed with a tsunami splash. And actually, what happened here is that they cleared off the announce desk first, right? The babyfaces did, and they put Bronson Reed on the desk. Jey Uso then went to go walk away. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know where he was going. But it was at that point that Braun Breaker did his run around the ring and spear. He did that super spear where he just dove into Jay. So I don't know what the hell Jay was doing or thinking. I have no idea. But the fans were chanting OTC. They were ready for Roman Reigns to come out and make the savior. They did not get Roman Reigns. But anyway, they put Jay in the ring, and like I said, he ends up getting a tsunami. Punk rolls into the ring with a chair. And the Bronze, they exit stage right, but they look under the ring and they grab chairs of their own. And they climb back into the ring. So now Punk has a chair, but they have chairs as well. And Punk is outnumbered when all of a sudden, who should arrive on the scene? It's not Roman Reigns. Oh no. It's Logan Paul. He slides into the ring. He doesn't have a chair, but he's got the brass knucks. And Punk is looking at him, and they're standing shoulder to shoulder. And Punk looks straight ahead, and Logan makes like he's going to hit the Bronze, but I give you one guess what happened. Logan Paul turns, and he knocks out CM Punk with one punch. Down goes Punk. I felt like I was watching one of his UFC fights. Punk is laying on the mat. Everybody's acting all shocked. I mean, how many people were actually shocked? Probably not that many. You'd have to be an idiot to not see that that was going to happen. So now Logan is staring down Heyman. He's staring down the Bronze. He very slowly removes the brass knucks from his hand. He hands the knucks over to Heyman. He cracks a smile, and he throws his arms open. Now, I thought they were going to hug. I thought there was going to be a big embrace. But no, there was no hug. They all kind of stood around awkwardly waiting for their cue that the show was going off the air. And then they faded to black, and they went off the air. So we got a non-finish here to the main event, which, I mean, whatever. Honestly, it doesn't even matter. These main events and these matches on this show have never felt less consequential than they do right now. They trade these wins back and forth. It's the same. It feels like the same match, right? I think this was the first time that Punk and Jay were tag team partners. But yet I'm watching this and I feel as if I've seen this match over and over again. It's this weird feeling. Like, I'm almost positive I haven't seen this exact variation of the match, yet I feel like I've watched it every week. So they trade wins back and forth. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And they're heading into War Games, so I wasn't expecting a clean winner anyway. Still a lame way to end your main event, by doing a double countout like that. So we got the non-finish, and then we got the predictable swerve at the end with Logan Paul. I will say this, it is better than trying to turn him babyface. I don't object to them keeping him heel and having him knock out Punk, because the alternative would have been trying to shoehorn him into the babyface team in War Games, and I just think that would have been a terrible idea. I cannot sit here and tell you that any of this gets me excited for War Games, though. Like, honestly, as you sit here now, And many of you watched the show tonight. Some of you maybe didn't, and you're just listening to the review. But as you see this and you hear about the things that are going on right now, at this moment, can you honestly tell me that you are excited to see this men's War Games match? I hope 2 weeks from now, if I were to ask the same question, your answer would be different. But I have a feeling I know what your answer is right now. Because I know I'm not. You know, is Logan Paul the newest member of the Vision? That is not the impression that I had when this show was over. He will be with the Vision for a few weeks. He will be on the Vision's team in War Games. And then he will likely go away again for a few months. Maybe until the Rumble. I don't want Logan Paul in the Vision if he is not committed to being there every single week. If they're going to add new members to the Vision, it has to be somebody who is going to be on the show every single week. I don't see the point in having any part-time people as part of this group. So, no, I don't think he is officially part of the Vision. I don't see any benefit in him becoming part of the Vision. The Roman Reigns return, that's going to have to wait for another week. They're in Madison Square Garden in 2 weeks. I suspect that is where we will see Roman Reigns back on TV at MSG. Now, War Games. What are we looking at here? What do we think we're looking at for War Games? I don't know if it's 5-on-5, which is what it usually is. I don't know what they have in mind. Because when I think of this and the way things are sort of shaping up right now, you've got Braun Breaker, you've got Bronson Reed, you've got Logan Paul, right? That's 3. Brock Lesnar being on that team, I could see that. Brock Lesnar has never been in a War Games match before, but he's got the tie-in with Heyman. So let's just say he is. Okay, that would be 4. On the babyface side, you've got CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and/or LA Knight. So on the babyface side, you don't have any issue finding 4 or 5 guys to be on that squad. And I don't know if it's going to be 4-on-4, 5-on-5. I'm guessing it'll be 5-on-5. It's weird, you know, AEW is doing 2 blood and guts matches, basically 2 War Games matches. God, what is it? 2 weeks before Survivor Series, basically 2.5 weeks. One of them has 6-on-6. The other one is 5-on-5. So who knows? Maybe WWE does 5-on-5 in the women's and 4-on-4 in the men's, right? It's unlikely, but you never know. But I'm trying to think of, you know, as far as like the heel side, I don't know who that 5th person would even be. There was talk of Austin Theory being added to the Vision. If that was an idea, I do wonder if that idea went to the wayside when Seth Rollins got hurt. Because there has been no indication of an Austin Theory return. You know, he hasn't been mentioned. He hasn't been on TV. If he suddenly was to show up next week, I mean, it would be it would feel kind of random. So I don't get the impression that that's going to be happening. They may have abandoned that whole idea entirely. So now I think, okay, well, what about Drew? What if the plan is to not do a WWE Championship match at all at Survivor Series? What if they have Drew McIntyre end up in War Games? Right? They would have to come up with some sort of way to explain that. But if they wanted Cody on the babyface team and Drew on the heel team, instead of, you know, them wrestling each other again at Survivor Series, there's at least a chance that they could end up in War Games, and then Cody's on the babyface side, which means LA Knight would probably be the odd man out. And then you would have, you know, Drew joining the heels. And that would only be if they're really short, you know, on heels. Then I could see someone like Drew being added. So I don't know. I mean, you can get away without doing a WWE Championship match on that show. You know, you got 2 War Games matches. And then John Cena is probably going to be wrestling on that show, right? I would presume that John Cena will be on there. And that would be John Cena's last ever match at Survivor Series. So that would be 3 matches right there. And then you would really just have to add 1 more. Yeah, you could add like a women's match, maybe a women's title match of some kind. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do as far as the makeup of these of the War Games team, especially on the heel side. But as far as this show goes, I enjoyed the Dom and Ray segment. The women's tag match I thought was good. But again, the show was just very like, bleh. whatever. It was kind of my attitude coming out of this show. There's just nothing really exciting going on right now on these shows. It's pretty bad. Next week, John Cena is on the show. They're going to kick off this tournament next week as well. Hopefully things will start to pick up. Hopefully things will pick up with this tournament and as we get that much closer to Survivor Series. What did you think of Raw from New Mexico? Here's the Twitter poll. 63.2% thumbs up for tonight's show. 36.8% thumbs down. That is the current poll results. You can vote at Solomonster is where you can go. And let me know what you think of the show. There you go. Let's get into your super chats. World Wrestling Excess. Is that what WWE stands for? Feels like it. Right now, it's certainly not World Wrestling Excitement. But hey, hat tip to that crowd, man. The crowd in New Mexico, they look like they had a good time. Death Scythe. We'll start with Death Scythe. He dropped a couple of super chats, including a bomb before I went live. Thank you, brother. Says, I wanted to clarify from my last super chat, Jeff Hardy still wants to wrestle Roman, but also wants to wrestle Cody for his one last singles run in WWE. And he wants to do it with his No More Words theme. I'm sure he does. He has openly said in the past, and this is years ago, that he wanted to wrestle Roman. I don't really see that match happening now. Him and Cody, I could see. Him and Roman just doesn't feel like... It would be such a random match for Roman. Roman has so few matches, in the course of a year. I don't even see how you get to that. You know what I mean? Like Cody, I could see. Roman, I don't see. But Deathside says, I was thinking we could get Jeff and Roman first in a #1 contenders match with Roman just mocking Jeff about all of his fuck-ups in the build-up. Once Jeff beats Roman. What? You lost me there. Once Jeff beats Roman... Then we get Cody and Jeff for the WWE title in a TLC match with Cody winning. All right, so I have a couple of issues with this. Why are we putting Jeff Hardy constantly in TLC matches? Jeff Hardy just had basically 2 TLC matches in 1 month. Like, can we not try to kill Jeff Hardy, please? That's number 1. Number 2, I don't see Roman Reigns and Jeff Hardy being a thing. I think if there was a time for it, it would have been during Jeff's previous run with the company, before he went to AEW. He left, and so in leaving, any chance of that match happening went away. Roman just isn't around enough to justify doing a storyline like that. And also the storyline you just described, I know Roman Reigns, the character, is still an asshole on TV. But I don't think he's like that much of an asshole that he's going to mock Jeff Hardy for his substance abuse issues. Like I don't see them doing that with Roman. I mean, what is he like? He's gonna make fun of Jeff's substance abuse issues and then come out the very next week and fans are going to be chanting OTC. There's a disconnect there. That ship has sailed. Scumdog to 18 years. Here's to another 18 years. Yeah. Cheers, my friend. Yes. God, another 18 years of the sound of. I will be very old if I make it another 18 years of the sound of. Another 18 years of the sound off. I'm going to be sitting here with my my cheaters on. I'll have my glasses on. Deathside. Here's something I've noticed. MJF and Darby Allin are the only 2 homegrown AEW talents who have had AEW pay-per-view programs with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. And when MJF eventually comes to WWE, he will also, yet again, have programs with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. So we'll get to see it again. Thank you, Deathside. I know, Mr. J, almost 20 years. There's two big milestones that are going to be coming up in the next few years. One of them is the 20-year anniversary, and we'll have to do something special for that. And the other one is 1,000 episodes. It's not that far off. Death Scythe. So how appropriate would it be if we get CM Punk against Cody Rhodes for the WWE title at WrestleMania 42? And MJF against Darby Allin for the AEW World title at Dynasty? Or another AEW pay-per-view in April? Well, I mean, how appropriate would... Well, I don't know. I mean, how appropriate would it be? What does MJF against Darby Allin have to do with Punk and Cody? Other than the fact that Punk and Cody used to be in AEW, but... I think those are two very real possibilities, though. Bleed Boston. If booked properly, do you think it would be smart to have Jade come out and dominate a popular babyface in a one-off match on SmackDown? Maybe Alexa. I think doing that would be a good way to get Jade some heat. Well, we just saw it with Tiffany on Saturday, so I wouldn't be doing that like in her next match. But I think if you were to build to something maybe next month, you know, you wanted to do a match with her and Alexa maybe on TV, who is a very popular babyface, sure, it would get her heat. I think those are the kind of matches that she should be having. You know, where she looks like a destroyer when she's out there. You don't drag it out for too long. It doesn't have to be a total squash. The match with Tiffany wasn't a total squash. It was only like a 95% squash. So you could have her do that with Alexa. Sure, yeah, that would work. It has to be somebody the people actually care about. Death Scythe. By the way, this question isn't just Solomonster, but everybody in the chat. Who is the most successful wrestler to start out in their 30s? For me, it is Batista. Well, I mean, if you're going to include his Hollywood success, then sure. Yeah, it would be Batista, but you got to have DDP in there as well. Look at all the people DDP has helped in his post-wrestling career. DDP, I want to say he wrestled his first match in 89. He had to have been about 33, 34, around that time. So DDP has to be up there as well. No doubt. Live, Laugh, Love, Lies says 6'7". 6'7"? Okay. I don't know what that means. You didn't donate 6'7". You donated $1.99. Thank you, brother. Give this a refresh here, so we get all the recent ones in here. Ragnarok. You can set your watch by it. New face heavyweight champion, and out comes Logan Paul. Logan fucking Paul. And him with the vision. Why would they want him? No thanks. Well, thankfully, it's only going to be for Survivor Series. He is not part of the vision. Another week, another tag team main event of the Vision versus insert face tag team. I'll jump solo. I swear to God, I will. Don't jump. Don't jump. See, I feel every few months I got to talk him back in from the ledge. Hulkling 93 with the 10 spot. Solo, here's a top babyface promo for you. Jake's Muck of Avarice from WrestleMania 6. Ooh, that's a good one. In those few minutes, he articulates what everyone needs to know about DiBiase and why he is deserving of his comeuppance. That's a good one. That's actually a very famous one from WrestleMania 6. We got Nick with a 10. Can't believe I'm saying this. We need a draft that actually has some big moves. These rosters have been virtually the same since WrestleMania 39. There needs to be some sort of freshen up. Yeah, it's called a shakeup, and I thought that that's what they had the transfer window for last year. You don't even need to do like a draft show. You can just open up the transfer portal and move people around. I don't know why they haven't done that yet. JDFVA subscribed to the Solomonster today. That's right, listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. Where are we on the likes? C's says, shout out Raw's women's division plus Io, Rhea back soon. Yeah, there was no Rhea and no Io on the show tonight. It's noticeable when they're not there, because they are two of the bigger names on the roster. Retro KOH, Punk is a lifelong fan and he knows what Logan is all about. So how didn't he see Logan's betrayal coming? Because, well, you see, when you win that world championship and you are a babyface, what happens sometimes is that you are afflicted with this terrible disease called DBS. It's a horrible, horrible affliction. Dumb babyface syndrome. It happens to everyone. Also, what is Logan's motivation? He spared Punk and got splashed, only to help them after. Yeah, he took a tsunami splash, came right back out at the end of the show, and basically stood with the Vision. Seth Rollins took 6 tsunami splashes, and specifically recruited Bronson Reed for the Vision. So these people are very forgiving on these shows. That or the CTE, I don't know. It's one or the other. Project Libertad, sup Solo. I just got back into wrestling in general after 6 months. This curse returned because my new girlfriend found out I used to like it, and she told me she was a fan too. Now we both suffer together. Well, at least now you have something in common. You can commiserate together over these shows. Why suffer alone? Why suffer in silence? Isn't it great to have somebody you can suffer with? Retro says, advance warning, I am planning a retro gaming related surprise for your 20th anniversary in 2027. I can't wait. Now I'm going to be wondering for the next 2 years what this surprise is. Super Pony, the dog isn't waiting anymore, says Braun Breaker. Real A+ promo work right there. I dread his run on top very much, but that's TKO for you. Yeah, they have the dog on a leash. Divine Ricks, $9.99. Can't believe we're approaching the 20th anniversary of Eddie Guerrero's passing. I was in high school at the time, and everyone in my class, including the teacher, was saddened about it. Rest in peace, Latino Heat. Hard to believe, isn't it? 2005? Yeah, it's been 20 years. I remember that. November 13th, 2005. You know, there are just certain dates you just remember. That's one of them. Oz and Glorious. Solo. When will you know about HOG in LA? We're going to make the trip out if you'll be on the call and we can say hello. I would make the trip anyway because I think it's going to be a hell of a show. I mean, I guess I won't be able to know for sure for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. It's going to be too much. It's just going to be too much. I mean, the Rumble is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. Yeah, it's one of the biggest weekends for me of the entire year here on the channel. I can't miss it. I think I need to be here. If it was any other day. But it's going to be a great one regardless. Uffman Entertainment in 2 weeks. Stephanie and Nikki will team up. Nikki will turn on Stephanie, and then WWE will name that the #1 betrayal in WWE.com will name it the #1 betrayal in WWE history. Oh yeah, of course. You know why? Because they'll love the engagement on social media. They rage bait people into engaging with their Silly lists. Base Bears, Logan is bigger than Braun and Bronson. He's taller. That I don't know if that's what you mean, but he is taller. And Base Bears says, I'm a TV tracks guy. Well, that's old school. Now you're going old school. Dude here, 73 with a $22 super chat. This super chat isn't directed at you. Congrats on 18 years. Well, is there somebody else who has a podcast for 18 years I'm not aware of? Based on the WrestleMania ads, it's about seeing more of Lesnar at WrestleMania. The only acceptable reason is to face Gunther and do the job. Otherwise, who else would he face? Well, Brock Lesnar and Braun Breaker will be a match at some point. I don't know that that's WrestleMania 42. Yeah, I mean, if Brock wasn't wrestling Gunther, then who would he be facing? Like, just logically, at WrestleMania. I don't think he needs to be back at all, right? I think I've made that very clear. They brought him back for a match with John Cena. Now you're going to get me hot. They brought him back for a match with John Cena in September, right? And it was fucking terrible. It was a poor rehash of something that was much better the first time they did it 11 years ago. And all I heard from people who were defending it was, well, it's going to be leading to Survivor Series. Maybe they'll be in War Games or the final match. Now we know Brock is going to be his final opponent. It's the Rocky Balboa story. And, you know, he's going to avenge his loss to Brock. Really? How confident are you now as we sit here? Is Brock going to be in the tournament? Maybe he is. Maybe Brock Lesnar is going to win the tournament and go on to challenge John Cena again, as if we need to see it again, right? That doesn't look very likely. So I want you to tell me now, when you look back on that match in September, how much worse, it was bad enough then, how much worse that looks now? What was the fucking point of that? Okay, I want you to explain that to me. What was the point of that? Duff's Vids. Doubtful it will happen, but if Cena wins the Intercontinental title and does open challenges, would it make it better to you for Cena's IC title win and short run? Oh, if he had an open... No. We have an open challenge already. You're not going to do two of them concurrently. So still losing to Gunther at Saturday night's main event. All right. Oh, I see what you're saying now. All right. So let me say this. The first part of your question, no. I don't want John Cena open challenges. The open challenge gimmick that John Cena did was inherited by Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn passed it on to Ilya Dragunov. That's Dragunov's now. What I could get behind, if they were, let's say, going to put the Intercontinental title on Cena to give him the Grand Slam. And I like this idea, and shout out to Greg, good mic work, because he's the one who mentioned it, and I like the idea. You can do Cena and Dom on TV. You could do Cena and Dom. I mean, I guess it's too late now to announce it for Boston next week, but you could do Cena and Dom in Madison Square Garden. You could have John Cena win the Grand Slam and beat Dom in Madison Square Garden on Raw in 2 weeks. And then have Cena drop it either back to Dom or drop it to somebody else, maybe at Survivor Series. So you get that belt off of him even before he gets to his last match, but he gets to say that he held it. He gets the Grand Slam, right? And you get a big moment for him in the Garden one last time. I was there for his biggest moment in Madison Square Garden when he returned at the Royal Rumble in 2008. So this would be like his last big MSG moment. And then he drops it 2 weeks later. That I'd be okay with, because then you don't have the issue of him going into December 13th with the Intercontinental title. I could live with that. But to do like open challenges and stuff, absolutely not. That's Ilya Dragunov's thing now. I would not do anything to diminish what they are doing with him right now on SmackDown. Super Pony, I hear your point about Oba, but beating Cena doesn't mean much. Look at Theory. Dude, it's John Cena's final match. No one is thinking about WrestleMania 39 and Austin Theory. Like, his final match is going to be a big deal no matter what. The awful Theory match, which was awful, doesn't factor into this at all. If you are somebody who's not established on the main roster, you get to go around saying for the rest of your life that you were the last man in the ring with John Cena. You were the last man to beat John Cena. You retired John Cena. That means a hell of a lot more than Austin Theory going around saying, oh, I beat John Cena at WrestleMania 39. Nobody cares. This is different. JDFVA, what's another wrestling grievance that you have? Dude, I did a whole segment on them. You should go check it out. I gave you like 8 of them. Maybe more. Maybe I gave you like a dozen of them. But I'll give you one more. I'm always good for another wrestling grievance. This is really more of a WWE thing. One of my pet peeves is during the commercial break, the heels, they'll get the heat on the babyface. As soon as they come back from commercial, guess who's making their comeback? The babyface. Every single time, without fail. It's like they have their formula and they can't break from it. That's another pet peeve. John. Drew and LA Knight lose so much under Triple H's booking. If they both had a one-on-one match, Triple H would probably book it to be a double countout. Yes, nobody would win. Everybody loses. Now, you know what he would do? He would send Dark State out there. He would debut Dark State on the main roster and then send them in there to ruin the whole fucking match. Just like he did at Bound for Glory. Abyssal Zones, do you think LA Knight's absence tonight was a punishment for holding up that... Was a punishment for holding up that sign last week? No. I mean, what would he have done on the show tonight? What would he have even done? I don't think they had any spot for him on the show tonight. Super Pony, don't you find it strange that Triple H refuses to push NXT black and gold guys like Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre? Drew is not a... Well, I guess Drew would be a black and gold guy. Gable, etc. No, he pushes them, but he pushes them in the way that he feels they should be pushed. I mean, you can't say they're not being pushed. I mean, Owens was getting consistent television time. He was wrestling Cody Rhodes for the championship in multiple matches. Balor's on the show every single week. He was a tag team champion. What people are upset with is that these men are not wearing world championship gold in the last several years, right? I mean, Balor hasn't been a universal champion or world champion on the show since 2016. Kevin Owens hasn't been champion since 2017. Drew McIntyre hasn't been champion since 2020. That's what people have an issue with. Is it odd? It's a little odd that some of these guys like Aleister Black, I mean, he hasn't been back that long, but I mean, I guess you could kind of throw him in there too. I mean, it might be a little weird that he wouldn't have, you know, preferential treatment for them, but what does that mean? That he has to just throw the world title on them? Like, there might come a time where it makes sense for Finn Balor to have another like championship run. Balor is someone I don't think it's going to happen. McIntyre, I think eventually he'll get the belt at least one more time. Balor, I don't see it. I don't see him getting the nod. "42 months from the Mount Vernon kid, Christopher Bennett says, add these to your horror watch list. The movies Exists and Malignant. Also, congrats on 18 years. I will add those when we're done here, and thank you. I appreciate the congrats. Also, Zombified Guitarist with 47 months of membership. Happy November to remember. Can a brother get an EC dub chant? I don't know. Ask the chat. Let's get an EC dub chant going in the chat. Are you sure you said EC dub and not AE dub? They could chant that in the chat too. And Alex with the 25. Thank you, Alex. Brother Solo, do you think Cody, similar to Cena, means it when he says his next WWE contract will be his final contract before he retires? No, that I don't believe. I think Cody once also said he might be retired at 40, which I think is what he is now. Cena, I absolutely 100% believe when he says he's done at the end of this year, he's done. Like, I don't know what would happen. I mean, God forbid, I don't want to jinx it, but like, if he were to get hurt before he gets to December 13th, let's say he wrestles at Survivor Series and he gets injured, right? And it's a serious enough injury where he's going to be out for months, right? I would think in that circumstance, Cena would delay his final match to next year. But I don't know. I mean, he's always been very insistent on 2025 being the end. So I think, God forbid, I mean, if something like that happened, that would be the only way you would see John Cena wrestling beyond 2025. So when he's done at the end of this year, he's done. Cody, like other guys have said the same thing. Oh, this is going to be my last contract. Rarely does it work out that way. Because think about it. Think of the money that Cody is making. That's a hard thing to say no to. Like if WWE were to go to him and say, look, we want to keep you around. We don't want you to leave. We'll give you a reduced schedule. We'll give you that special contract. You think Cody is going to say, nope, I made a promise. I'm done. I'm going to go do other things. Like, no. Of course he's going to sign another contract. He's not that old. Relative to the age of a lot of the other guys in the main event scene, he's not that old. He still has many more years left in him. So that I don't believe. Fire Panda. Look at this. Man, Fire Panda has not been around much lately. I'm glad the Fire Panda is okay. I know I have not been around much lately, but I wanted to drop in and let you guys know that my grandpa passed away over the weekend. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. He was 84 and went peacefully after battling dementia. Remember to hug your loved ones and let them know you love them. Well, Fire Panda, we all are sending our condolences to you. That's very unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Dementia is a horrible thing. Too many stories of friends and family members who have to watch people they love just, progress in a way that they don't become themselves, and they don't remember a lot. And it's a sad thing to see because you have no control over it. So it's just an awful thing for everyone involved. So I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm sure they were, I don't know. It's just, there really is no good way to sort of look at something like that. But I hope you had a good relationship with your grandfather and lots of memories. I have a lot of memories of my grandparents. I was very close with my grandmother on my mother's side. And she passed away 25 years ago. So, very sorry to hear that, but we're thinking about you, my friend. And dude here, 73. The congrats for 18 years was for you, LOL. The way it was phrased, I was like, wait a minute. This is not for you. I'm like, well, then who is it for? Sorry, I meant The Rock wasn't telling you to F off. It was for Lesnar. I see. That makes sense. Well, it looks like we apparently hit the likes goal for Be the Booker. Let me check this out here. We are at 402. Look at that, just in the nick of time. We're actually 8 out of 10 on the bonus goal for a bonus round of Be the Booker. But we're going to get at least the one round here. You guys earned that, so...
Ghoul.
And
He's a ghoul bird.
Ghoul bird.
that match at WrestleMania.
Fucking Goldberg is back. A little delayed Halloween special right there. Thank you again, Fire Panda. We got some Goldberg here. The only time that Goldberg is acceptable is when it is on these streams. I certainly do not want to see it on television, but on the streams, it's acceptable. I will allow it. Let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Always acceptable. See, Goldberg popping up. I wasn't sure if we would get him on $69.99 Canadian. No, we got him. We got him. I don't know how the conversion works sometimes. All right, here we go. Tag team be the booker. Starting out the week with some B2B. We're starting out with Edge and Randy Orton. Rated RKO is kicking us off. You think they put Randy Orton in this tournament? Is that how they return him to television because he's been gone? I mean, I know we already got Cena and Orton, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't put him in the tournament. I can tell you right now, the guy on the left there in that image, he won't be in the tournament, even though some people are expecting it. They're going to be very disappointed. Rated RKO against Ric Flair and Rowdy Roddy Piper. You got some star power in that match. Look at that. Randy Orton, Ric Flair. Two members of Evolution in this match. Wrestling is all about stars. I can sell that. As the promoter, I could sell that. That's all I ask for. Give me a match that I could sell. Give me a match I can promote. This match happened. Did it? I have no memory of this. I suppose it's possible because Flair and Piper were champs around 2006. So maybe that match did happen. All right, women's be the booker. We have Bull Nakano. All right, the legendary Bull Nakano is with us. She isn't be the booker. She is indeed. And Bull Nakano was going to be, oh boy, poor Bull. Bull Nakano and Nia Jax. Actually, that could be a very interesting, very stiff match. I am morbidly curious to see how that match would turn out. I'm going to give it the bell. And if Nia does something that really pisses off Bull Nakano, believe me, Bull Nakano will not be shy to give Nia a receipt and let her know how she really feels. Poor Bull. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know stylistically if that's a good idea, but it'd be interesting. All right, main event time. This looks like it's going to be our only main event of the night, so we got to make it a good one. We have the former TNA and NXT World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Roode is with us. I spied Bobby Roode backstage tonight as CM Punk was walking out through the gorilla position at the beginning of the show. Bobby Roode was sitting right there producing. He is one of their top producers now. Look at that. We're 9 out of 10 now for Be the Booker, the bonus goal. Bobby Roode against Cash Wheeler. That's a collision match. That is a collision match. I was hoping for something a little bit bigger in my main event. Ladies and gentlemen, we just hit the bonus goal. We just hit the bonus goal, which means that we are doing one more round. I feel like I'm sitting at the bar. One more round for everybody in the bar. All right. That's what I like to see. And you know what we do in the bonus round is that we pick stipulations for the matches. If you've never joined us here before, this is how we do it. This is how it gets done. All right, so let's see what our first match is going to be. Shall we? It is going to be an Iron Man match. Okay. A 60-minute Iron Man match. Well, since it's an Iron Man match, I feel like we need to start with the men. We're going to start with the men this time. This is going to be a 60-minute match, okay? So let's hope and pray we do not land on main event Jey Uso, because I don't think Jey Uso would be able to survive a 60-minute Iron Man match. Not the Jey Uso I saw on Saturday. You imagine he comes out and does the whole yeeting entrance and then has to wrestle for 60 minutes? What would that look like? We have Jay's cousin, Roman Reigns, who has never been, I don't believe, has ever been in an Iron Man match before. Roman is about to have his very first Iron Man match. Against El Grande Americano. Now, Chad Gable in an Iron Man match, that's right up his alley. He would do very well. I got to buy on that. Don't be knocking Chad Gable in an Iron Man match now. Come on now. We got a barbed wire steel cage match with the ladies. We're going to take two women and put them in a barbed wire steel cage. We have Julia Hart, 1/3 of the Triangle of Madness in AEW. Julia Hart against Michelle McCool in a barbed wire steel cage match. Well, that ruined the sweep. And we have a ladder match. We are booking a tag team ladder match. We got some tag teams in here that have been in some classic ladder matches before. Hey, Bujar is in Norway. Says it's 7 in the morning and I'm still live. Well, grab your morning coffee. Well, I mean, we're going to be ending here in a moment, but grab your morning coffee and sit down and have a seat and enjoy. We're about to pick a ladder tag team match here. Oh, wait, didn't I already pick the step? Why is this still spinning? I don't know why this is spinning. There we go. We have Too Cool, Grandmaster Sexay, and Scotty Too Hottie. I don't think they've ever been in a ladder match before, but they will be now. Too Cool against Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. I actually think that would be a good ladder match. I like that. Put those penny belts on the line that you see there. There you go. And there you go, folks.
I am the learning tree. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thanks, Justin. Justin G donated $12 to sit under the learning tree. Trees, you say, Eminem. Oh, that's right. Eminem dropped a couple of super chats himself. A pair of $20 super chats. Hello, boils and ghouls. Your pal, the tree keeper. Been busy the past month. First, I had people bark up the wrong tree. Then I had went to learn my roots, the roots of all evil, that is. Oh no, it came in twice. Or it's showing twice. I thought there were two of them. It's the same one. Yep, he said trees. So it's kind of required that somebody then drops a learning tree when trees are mentioned. Well, you know what I forgot to do with that tree? Okay, cut that shit down. Never too late for the chainsaw to come out. Never too late for the chainsaw. Well, thank you guys. We hit the double goal, which is...
My curiosity is killing me just like a cat would be killed by the curiosity, yeah.
Yeah. The Juliet 316 with a $13 Macho Man super chat. This is actually another Macho Man super chat, but that's one of the special higher amounts. Won't be seeing that one for a while. But this one says, a curiosity led me to see what the super chat was about. Well, now you know. That is the voice of the Macho Man Randy Savage with a picture of Randy Savage holding a cat. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And a cute little kitty it is, I must say. I was going to say thank you for getting us started off on the right foot here this week. Great stream. And I will be with you live on Wednesday. That will be for the Dynamite post show. And then again on Friday night for the SmackDown post show, where we will learn what the next two matches are going to be. In the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. Tomorrow night, I'll be over on JD's channel for Tuesday Night Titans. I believe we're up to episode 119. We've done so many of them, it's hard to keep track of the numbers, but we will be talking all the wrestling news of the week. I'm sure talking John Cena's tournament, among other things. That will be tomorrow night. So you got plenty of me coming up. And again, thank you for celebrating with me not just all week long. Technically, Thursday is the anniversary, but all month long. 18 years of the Sound Off. We're going to have some fun this month. Be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great night. And I will see you back here, right here on this channel on Wednesday night for the Dynamite Post Show. Until then, take care, guys.